Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm coming to you on the 25th of March 2020. And because the story I'm going to talk about changes by the hour, I will tell you that this recording time is starting at 4:47 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 16, now 48 in military. Now, having said that, what I'm going to talk to you about today is this disease, COVID-19, the mathematics of it, the concerns of how this thing actually could explode beyond what you think. I'm going to show you the math, and I'm going to put it on. I got spreadsheets. I'm going to show it to you in the spreadsheets in plain and simple terms that anyone can follow and understand, so you can see just how this can spread and explode and understand why, when I'm done, that you need to pay attention to what's going on here. Well, you need to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, because this is very important to understand what you need to do. We're going to talk about the disease. We're going to talk about the economy, food supply again a little bit, and we're going to talk about the politics of it. This is a highly complex phenomenon that's occurring to us right now, and it has multidimensionality to it, multi-dimensions in different ways. The disease itself is multidimensional. The impacts on the economy and how to deal with it are multidimensional, and so are the politics. So these are the things that we have to take into account. There is no magic bullets that exist at this point in time. I hear a lot of talk about various magic bullets. Well, let's do this, let's do that. There's this, there's that. Oh, here, we've got the cure. It's the case over. No worry. Let's go back to sleep. I keep hearing somebody, it's over. Don't worry about it for this. Don't worry about it for that. When I get done, your eyes are going to be open, and I hope your head is on a swivel. So let's get into it. I'm going to do a share here. I'm going to share, start out with the normal spreadsheets that everyone's used to seeing. This is from the world meter, if you want to call it. And I'm going to go from this shortly into my spreadsheets. But let's look at this. Holy smoke. Let's do a quick update because this is changing. My spreadsheet was created with data about an hour old, so this is probably newer data than is even in my spreadsheet. Now, my friends, we know that China went into lockdown a couple months ago. Actually, in January, they went into lockdown. And their lockdown, surely it's definitely helped limit the spread of this. I do not believe that it's limited to the degree that they claim, and I'll show in a moment. But look at this. So China has, supposedly 81,000 cases roughly, but they still have 47 new cases. So that is what they report. I do think it's far higher for new deaths. It's not over in China, even though there's draconian measures, but I don't buy this. I don't buy it at all. We'll go into that in a moment. Italy also has gone into draconian lockdown. Maybe they can't make it as tight as China, but they've got it pretty darn tight in Italy. Now look at this. Italy cases are now very close to China's cases. Italy's population is far smaller, and I've got all this data in the spreadsheet I'm going to show you in a moment. But look at this. Oh, wow. Even with their draconian lockdown, yeah, actually the new cases on a per day basis seem to be going down a little bit with Italy. But my friends, that's still high. With their lockdown, they've got 5,210 new cases, and their lockdown is tight, very tight, far tighter than anything anybody's doing in the United States. Now, let's see if we can click on the country, see what we get here. I don't want to see all these ads. Holy smoke. And here you can see it appears to have gone down. Maybe it's going back up. There's still something of a trend line. You can probably throw this data point out for the 21st of March. Look here, they still have a lot of new cases, in Italy, even with their draconian lockdowns. Now, hey, admittedly, a lot of these new cases could be from what people already have, because the incubation period for this disease can be up to 24 days. It can incubate asymptomatic. You have no symptoms. You've already got the bug. It's just not showing yet. And so maybe you've not been tested. I really support aggressive testing for this disease. So you can see the number of infected people. Look at this curve. You see how far apart these dots are. That indicates acceleration, a fast-moving pace. Now, the distance from here to here may not be as much as from here to here, but it's still distant. So you still have a high degree of this thing moving. This is on a per day basis. So, total deaths. Wow, that's a big jump. Of course, these are people already sick, maybe, but that's a big jump. Deaths per day. Wow. Okay, it's still, that number is still going up. The active cases per day, what's the increase? That's about 4,000 there. About, okay, 6,000 here. That looks a little better. But again, you can look at it here to get an idea. Italy is a good indicator for what can and can't happen. Anyway, let's go back. I do see some products now. Definitely one non-endorsement popped up in ads. Just because I accidentally was searching on them. Oh, wait. All right, all that said. United States, look at this. We're really getting close to Italy in these numbers. In China, it's just a matter of time that the numbers in the United States will surpass both Italy and China because we have more people. And we're not into lockdown nearly as tight as either of those two nations. So our numbers will surpass these numbers as reported, confirmed numbers. Now, China's numbers, I think, are far higher. I don't know if we'll ever catch up with their true numbers. We might, because we may have a hard time getting into the degree of lockdown they're in. So we might actually surpass their true numbers, but we will absolutely surpass their reported numbers in the not too distant future. I'm convinced of that because we're not that far away. We're gaining fast. Look at this, almost 10,000 new cases in one day. Let's go yesterday, look, bam, what were we yesterday? I love that, just switch back and forth. That's a great chart. Okay, we had 11,000 new cases yesterday, so maybe our rate of gain might be slowing down a little bit, but then again, we're starting to test more. That's the difference. But our testing is still limited for the most part by a low number of test kits and testing people that are obviously symptomatic. So these are high rates of increase in cases. Let's look at this here. Italy was 69 yesterday. Bam, we're almost at today. We're catching up to Italy fast in cases. Now, a lot of these indeed may be new cases, and so a lot of these may not yet be resulting in serious illnesses and deaths. Sometimes it takes a while to catch up. So if you're trying to compute a case fatality ratio or case fatality rate, whatever you want to call CFR, that number is in flux. The actual final CFR would be the total cases, the total deaths divided by total cases after an epidemic is over or gone, pandemic, whatever. Then you can get the actual true numbers if you can find the actual true numbers of people that got sick and died. Now, again, there's maybe those cases running around that are not being reported because the symptoms are so mild. WHO went into China and they claimed that the actual reported numbers were close to the real numbers, but WHO and China seem to be like this. So I don't know what to make out of that. You know, it's some of these numbers are noise, they're garbage, they're lies. How do you believe those kind of things, especially when it's coming out of the Communist Party of China, CCP, the Chinese Communist Party? They value the image and look of the party above and beyond everything else, including the health and welfare of their people. And so you do not want a tyrannical government. You do not want any kind of government that's dominated by a central one party alone. I don't care what party it is. No one party running a government is trustworthy because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah, I can give you a couple other axioms to go with that to give you where we're at today, but I'll spare that because it's in my other videos. So China is still increasing, even with their highly deflated numbers. But Italy is almost caught up to them. Italy will surpass China the next reporting period, probably. They're really close, and that's within 2 reporting periods. The U.S. will surpass, but look at this, deaths. Now, see, this is what's most astonishing. Deaths in Italy are over twice the deaths in China. Do you buy that? I don't buy that because China's cases are a lot older than Italy's cases. Oh, but Greg, but China has a better welfare system, or China's got younger people. Not by that much. They do, but not by that much to make that much difference. You know, we've seen and heard plenty of reports about morgues running 24/7, about all kind of things where reporters were arrested and doctors were arrested for trying to tell the truth. So when reporters and doctors are getting arrested, some of them just disappear because they're showing videos of what they see on the street. They're telling you what they see in their hospitals. Yet we are supposed to, and many world organizations tell us, in fact, to accept at face value the numbers that come out of China. Okay, enough said with that. You know, take that for what you will. Some of you will absolutely accept those numbers, and be what it may. Okay, that said, the USA now has 910 deaths, according to this, up 130. So look at this. China, some of these other countries are catching up the United States pretty fast. Spain, Germany, but the United States, we have far bigger population. So I do expect U.S. to be at the top of this list. We do like being number one, don't we? We do like being at the top. This is not a list we want to be number one in, but we're heading there real fast. And we used to be way down here. South Korea used to be right underneath China. South Korea, fortunately, went into an aggressive test mode. They started testing everybody. And when they found people that were positive, they did contact tracing to see who all they were involved with. And they did immediate isolation. South Korea was very smart because they were able to stay on top of it from the get-go and provide the best medical care by limiting their cases to something more manageable. Their numbers come out looking fairly favorable. South Korea is a model for how to do this, as I would say, is Singapore, a few other countries. But Singapore is way down this list, and Singapore was an early country to have this. Yeah, where are you going to find Singapore at? They're way down here. There they are. Look at this, way down the list. Singapore, another good case study for what to do when you've got something like this. Okay, that said, let's look at this around the world. There's one thing I need to show you about this in the world population. This is the Johns Hopkins site. It always lags this side a little bit. I mean, if you come up there and look at the total numbers, what they got? 4,000, let's see, 464,000 deaths, roughly. Over here, it's just, yeah, about 7,000 behind. Let's see if I have to update on that. That's going to change. It almost always lags the world meter, worldometer, world meter, whatever you want to call it. Okay, well, they're pretty close now. That's odd to send that close. Sometimes they lag in country reports. Here, the United States is listed at having 62,873. Again, number two, close on the heels of Italy, which is both close on the heels of China now, getting close. So, but we're wide open. We'll talk about that shortly. Here's what I want to show you in this map. Let's go in here and blow this up. There's two things about this map that strike me of great interest. One is that you're not going to find hardly a country or even an island that don't have this. You're going to find, okay, there's not, don't show it. But let me back out a little bit. You'll see these islands. There's red dots all over the ocean. Red dots, of course, that's Hawaiian Islands there. Let's go around Maldives. Yeah, look out here. You find this all over the place. Islands and nations. Let's zoom in a little bit and you'll see more dots. So there's a few countries in Africa that don't seem to be reporting or have a case. Now, that's a small dot. So many small dots are showing. I think that's what's going on with some of these islands. There's a couple of, I'll see, there's a little red dot. Botswana apparently doesn't have a reported case. Good for them. But, so let's go out here. The ocean, it's kind of hard to plow through the ocean at this level. But you see cases in all these countries. Now, South America's got two decided advantages. A very young population. All these islands, except these, got dots. Well, this is one country, so that dot represents the whole area. But the reason I'm showing you is this follows. this disease has spread very far and very wide, very fast. It's in practically every country on the world, almost on every island. It has, I mean, holy smoke, it's in Alaska. It's up, I saw a dot in Northwest Territories, I thought the other day. It's not showing now, maybe if I zoomed in on it. Okay, not showing now. Okay, the Yukon and Northwest Territories look to be clear, but there's some very significant dots through here. I mean, you got here, the Faroe Islands, 132 cases, holy smoke. 737 cases in Iceland. Yeah, it's hitting hard up there. So it's getting around, it's getting everywhere. All these countries have got it. How far, how fast is the spread is mind-boggling. That's why you got to believe in the infectivity rates. That's why I'm showing you this. This stuff is highly, highly infectious. Now, we talk about infectivity rates as R naught. One person affecting one person, that's an R naught of 1. When R naught is 1, the disease is not really propagating. It's not going exponential. When it's a little bit higher than 1, it can start to go exponential. The objective is to keep it less than 1. And social isolation and social distancing as a means to limit a socially spread disease is a way to stop it. But sometimes it takes some real draconian social distancing. So we'll be talking about that in a moment here. So let's go back to, shut that down. What I want to do is stop that share, and we're going to go to the share on my spreadsheet. So let's go to the spreadsheet. Let's look at the numbers. Give me just a second. The screen is popping up stuff I don't want to see. Here we are now. Here's the spreadsheet I created to illustrate to you the numbers, the math, the easily understood math. And let me show you how easy this is to understand. I start with the number 1. And I multiplied that cell A2 by 2, doubled it. And when we multiplied the cell above that by 2 and doubled it, and the cell above that by 2 and doubled that. So what we have here is a successive pattern of doublings. And the first thing start out real small, and it takes a while, about 1, 2, 4, 8, 1 to 10s, to 20s, a few hundred. Okay, 17 days ago, I did a little interview with Dr. Paul Cottrell on my channel. And the cases, when we started the interview, were 474 in the United States of America. That was 17 days ago. And let's see, as of a couple hours ago, look, I can go back and check the other number, but let's see, let's just stick with what I put in the spreadsheet for now. As of a few hours ago, the U.S. was reporting 63,098 cases. Now, so I'll pull this up, that's showing you guys. The U.S. is now 62,827 according to John Hopkins, and according to the thermometer, the United States is now 64,775. 64,775. Well, that's easy to fix here. 64,775. Boom. And I can just change everything. Ooh. Well, if I'm going to do that, I need to go back and look at the deaths, reported deaths. That's another data item. I don't need to be changing one without changing the other. It will change the ratio. So I'm going to go back to the thermometer site and do that. Now, I'm not pulling it up to the share with you guys, but you can find it. Deaths, 910. Ooh, wee. Okay. So we're going to increase this number. 910. Oh, well, that gets it back about the ratio it had. Okay, we'll show you that in a minute. So, our total reported cases today are around this number, closer to this number than this number. So, since I talked with Dr. Paul Cottrell 17 days ago, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doublings of the cases in the United States. 7 doublings in 17 days. Okay, U.S. doublings in days. So here's the math. 17 divided by 7. And what's that give you? Almost 2.5. 2.4. Okay, it's over 2.4. 2.42. That says every 2.4, less than 2.5 days, the cases in the United States have doubled. Okay, now that is not entirely true. It's an indicator. We do know that testing has got more rigorous during this period of time. There's more testing going on. So we're actually discovering more cases at that rate. There is a doubling rate. What the real doubling rate is, we'll settle out when the data starts to settle. We're basically in the fog of war right now. It's hard to get real, true, absolute numbers when you don't actually have the data, when the data don't exist because the testing's not there. So we have to try to figure it out, extrapolate. And I'm not going to go into some great recursive analysis of that when Monte Carlo curves and blah, 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 and spend weeks and days doing that kind of stuff because I don't have time. I got a day job and I got a worm farm and many other things to run. I'm trying to show you the math, pure, straight, and simple, just so you can understand what this means overall, not the exactly what it is. It's where this can go by the math. And the reason I'm doing this is because I've heard so-called major network pundits and experts talk about, oh, that's mathematically impossible. Well, they're blooming idiots. They don't know the math. They don't even understand anything other than adding 1 + 1 = 2. Well, obviously, there's some people that have no knowledge of mathematics and are flapping their gums when they don't know what they're talking about. So let's look at the math. This is the math. This is a simple progression. As I have shown you, the formula here that anyone can understand is a simple doubling in each progression of the cell. There's 1. Here is 1, each cell multiplied by 2. And what it can lead to. This is doublings. This just tells you the number of doublings. Now, the time between the number of doublings will vary. It will vary according to what the R0 value is. And the R0 value can vary according to your social protocol in your country. Are you maintaining social distancing? Do you have good hygiene as a country? There are many factors that can, of course, the infectivity of the disease is a primary, perhaps the prime factor. How does it spread? Is it aerosol? Is it not? All these things drive the infectivity number, and high infectivity number indicates a very high R0. On the Princess Cruise Line, I think the R0 was probably north of 7. A lot of numbers have indicated the R0 for this disease is 4. 4 is very high. The Spanish flu had an R0 of, well, typically a flu. The garden variety flus have an R0 like 1.28 maybe. This has an R0 probably at least 4, which means it's highly infective. Spreads really fast. But there are other videos and other channels that just beat on that to death. What they don't show you is what I'm showing you right here, these numbers on this spreadsheet. They don't show you this stuff. This is what I'm showing you because I want you to understand the math. And this is the math. This is how numeric progressions advance. So here we are. How many doublings does it take to get to exceed the population of the United States? Now let's look at this. I have put some other numbers in here. Population, U.S., 329,227. Yeah, okay, the exact numbers are, it changes by the minute. So I wouldn't get down to that 76. It was 746 at the end, but that was just a number I grabbed off of Wikipedia. And I think that was as of last year. So, and some of these are current estimates, like the world number. I basically rounded it just slightly, the worldometer number. And it's probably, if you check the worldometer right now, it's probably higher now. So, like I said, these are all moving targets in the midst of the fog of war. So, look at this. U.S. population here. That is greater than U.S. population. So, somewhere between here and here, you can expect a doubling that exceeds the U.S. population if it goes unchecked. Now, there are other factors that can mitigate and slow this down. How many doublings we got to get there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's about where we're at now. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, a little over 12. 12 doublings. Well, if we kept this 2.5 days per doubling, we'd be there in a matter of a month or 2. We'd exceed the population. Well, that's not happening. There's various limitations. It's not going to get it to that point. I'm just showing you what doublings can do. There are limiting factors like herd immunity. how well we social distance, how well this disease can spread, or this would be spreading it back to people it came from, different things. But it has doubled in reported cases 7 times since in the last 17 days in the United States. So these doublings happen. I saw reports claiming the doubling rate in Australia was 3 days, or 3.5, 3.5, something like that. These numbers happen. They're real. Mind you, when we went through that map on the Johns Hopkins site, you notice there were a lot of cases in the southern hemisphere. Some people say that this will go away in warm weather. Well, probably no, it's not going to go away. It may dampen down. There will still be cases out there. The problem is these are all little fire embers that can just reignite when the regular flu season kicks in, provided it actually does damp down. For that reason, I expect that this will reignite in the next fall. Some people think the peak for this season will be in June or July. There's a program, Chris Martinson on Peak Prosperity Channel. He shows some really good data about, if you just follow the progressions where you expect to peak at. Mitigating factors such as if we try to flatten the curve, and if we may not. We may turn this loose. I'll talk about that some more in the politics part of this. If we decide to flatten the curve and manage this country, if we try to hold this down, the social distancing, quarantines, or whatever is required, then that combined with warm weather means it may not peak then. It may peak later, which it may anyway. There's more we don't know about this disease still than there is that we know. All that said, look at this. That ain't that long off. Even if we, what may happen is as we create more mitigations and resistance to the spread, there's still a doubling. We may just be pushing out the time frame of the doublings. As long as the R0 is greater than 1, there's doublings. The question is, how far apart are they? That's the question. I didn't put a time frame on the left column saying so many days. That is arbitrary. It will depend on each country and their social policies, their culture, and many other, what strain of this they may have, and many other factors. Okay, here's another little graph that you might find interesting of numbers. And so I started, okay, this is at the top, started out with 1. And this time I'm multiplying by 4 to indicate a more infectious disease, a very aggressive growth rate. And here you find that here between these sessions is about where we were with Paul Cottrell's interview numbers. It was somewhere between these two. And this is about where we're at now. And this is not many cycles here. You're multiplying by 4. The cycle period here is really just a few. So now maybe multiplying by 4 is taking longer, because this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So you divide 17 by 4 instead of 17 by 7. Put a few more days in there. And what do you come out with? Around 3, 3.5. Okay, we'll throw it down here and do the math. But look what these numbers are. They add very fast. Oh, by the way, it's interesting to go down here. A few doublings, you exceed the population of Earth. And over here, if you multiply them by 4, you're getting some crazy numbers really soon too. So take that and let's put a comma to it. Trillion people? Is that right? All right, so here's your, okay. No, not trillion yet. Yeah, millions, billions, trillions. See how absurd these numbers are? There don't have many people on Earth. Or how about this one? This one is where we just multiply the number by, basically we're squaring. We're multiplying the number by itself each successive time. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 16 is 256. 256 times 256 is over 65,000. This is a mathematically possible progression for something that's highly infectious. So in this case, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles, we're at a significant fraction of the population of Earth. By the 6th cycle, we far exceed that. 6, 7, 8. By 8 cycles, we're almost the number of atoms in the universe. Well, maybe not that, but we're in the there's considered to be 10 to the 80 atoms in the universe. Yeah, the next cycle we definitely pass it. Which means that's physically impossible. If you want to talk about something that's mathematically possible, that is mathematically possible. What can happen? Let me explain this. When something's on exponential growth, what it can do is it can grow like mad until it reaches the boundaries of the petri dish. Once it's reached the boundaries of the petri dish, consume the resources upon which it grows no more. I mean, if there's no more people, that's the walls of the petri dish or the substrate therein. So there's definitely some physical constraints. There may be constraints that limit the rate of propagation. There are constraints that limit how far the propagation can go in totality. That's a petri dish. Now, if in a petri dish you take the gel and you divide it up by tracing out little troughs between it, make little segments, and it might become hard for that stuff to jump from cell to cell. That's our social distancing. But you can consider our Earth to be the petri dish, or our population therein, ultimately. Okay, so let's look at this again. World population, reported cases, reported deaths. This means there's a case fatality ratio based on that. You can see my formula here, dividing cell G4 by cell F4 gives me that. And that's a crude way to do it. In the end, when it's all said and done, that's the way you do it. But we still have new cases, there's unreported cases, so there's a lot of data that's missing going into this calculation at this point in time. But this is a crude approximation. It can be up or down based on either of those two factors, but it's not a bad way to look at it while we're in the fog of war. That would suggest a case fatality rate of, let's see, this is in percent because I got multiplied by 100, 4.52%. That's exceedingly high. The flu. Garden variety flu is 0.1% or 1 in 1,000. This would be 4.5 people out of 100, or 9 people out of 200. This is the U.S. population rate, reported case and fatalities. And here is your case fatality rate of 1.4. Again, that's 14 times higher than the garden variety flu. Now, the cases in the United States, since this is just spread, are largely new cases. So a lot of people have had the chance for this to progress yet to the point of fatality. So this number might go up. China, case fatality rate of 4.04. China is a very mature, well, that's most of what's driving this. But Italy, oh my God, Italy? What? He came up, we got 7,503 reported deaths out of 74,387 reported cases. Well, if that case report is low, which that might suggest, then they're way over China's reported cases. I said reported cases. I believe there is more in China, which I'm going to show you that in a second. But my God, 10%. That's 100 times more fatal than the garden variety flu. And fatality, my friends, is probably not even the thing to worry about. This has other ramifications beyond fatality and just overall health, especially for you young people. But really, what should the Chinese death rate be? Let me show you a little equation here. Ratio and proportion. This is a mathematical principle. Ratio and proportion. This is the number of deaths in Italy compared to the population of Italy. So as a ratio between the number of deaths and population, which there's many factors that may say, that this is not really an equivalent ratio. What should the ratio be if this were equivalent to China of deaths in China? Let's call that X because we don't know it, times the population in China. The way you solve an equation with the equal symbol, and I said this may not truly be an equal symbol, but it's probably not too far from being off. At least maybe not an order of magnitude. Well, the way you solve anything in an equation with equal symbols, you have to do the same things on both sides to keep it equal. It's like a balance of scales. So I can multiply both sides by the population of China, which will eliminate it from this side because it just one over the other divides out. And then you get this times that over here. Well, I've done that for you in the spreadsheet, my friends. I'll just easier graphically show you on a whiteboard. So in the spreadsheet, China's deaths, bam, here we are. I'm seeing it was G22 Let me come up to the spreadsheet up here. G22, which is Italy's numbers, divided by Italy's population. It'll be times China's population. That's how this is going to work out, times E16. There's E16 right here. So that would suggest that the ratio and proportion were to hold, that the number of deaths in China today should in fact be over 177, maybe 178,000. Yeah, I hear people say all the time, Greg, the common flu might have 45,000 deaths a year. Well, one, the common flu has already infected millions of people. It's far more widespread. But it just might be the case that there's already far more deaths, maybe 3 to 4 times more from COVID-19 than the garden variety flu. Maybe already, and it's just not reported. And it may be worse than this. Epic Times says there's 22 million missing cell phones in China. Of course, I would think probably most of those are cell phones that don't have their person attached to them anymore, whatever that's supposed to mean. Maybe that means that China is using this whole event as cover to get rid of their so-called undesirables, as communist nations are so want to do, or any tyrannical totalitarian state. Under Mao Zedong, they eliminate 80 million of their own citizens under their grand glorious founder. Yeah, what a terrible thing. So if you're not totally conformist in our society, if your posture is anything other than praying to and worshiping a grand leader, off with your head. It's interesting how such societies are always formed and initialized by malcontents, and the malcontents that form the society are always the first ones to be eliminated. That's most interesting. Yeah, Hitler did the same thing, by the way. So the communists have no monopoly on that, and he killed, several million people in the chambers that he operated, as you quite know. All right, all that said, so China should be 178,000 maybe, whereas China is claiming 3,281. Yet reports from in China from the crematoriums said they were running 24/7, and the operators were just crying from exhaustion. And there was more than one agency calling into those crematoriums and getting those same kind of reports. I heard from 3 different sources that kind of data. Maybe something to it. Just possibly, right? Nah, couldn't be. Communist Party, authoritarian government, never lie to us. Nope, nope, nope. What do you think? Now, here's the scary part of the numbers. Let's take these numbers and project them. Boom, 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 boom. Aha. Now we're going to talk turkey. This is what this video is mainly about right here. The math that you've never seen projected on anyone's channel in this format. Yeah, you've seen some Arnold progression numbers. I'm just looking at simple things here. So if you go to Italy, right now, the infection rate in Italy, I just divided their number of cases by their, I divided their death rate by the number of cases and multiplied by 100 to give it a percentage. Anyway, and then I translated it over here. So what you've got is 0.123% of the infected people dying. Oh, wait a minute. That's not what I'm saying. That's the population. This is infected. How many of the people of the population are infected? Excuse me. This is the ratio in Italy right now, which, if we stopped everything we're doing and locked everything down real hard, within the number of weeks Italy's had infection, this is about where we might expect to find ourselves. If we do everything right, and if chloroquine and all these other things work as advertised, and if everything works as all these magic bullets line up and all things work as advertised, and everybody gets their grandest dreams, this would be the kind of infection rate of the general population that we might see. And what does that mean? So let's also, what does it mean if you have a infection rate of 25%? Now, there are several experts claim that we're going to go from 50 to 80%. So I did Italy's current, I did 25%, 50%, 75%, 80% for the world, for the US, for China, and for Italy. I'll focus here, I guess, on the world and the US, because I have so many people are so dismissive of this. Well, this is just this, it's just that. Look at the numbers. Here we are. The current rate, which I think we're going to be right about there, 75% herd immunity. That is the herd immunity type number here, right here, 75% to 80. Somewhere between 75 and 80% is probably where we're going to wind up infected total. Okay, so let's look at death rates for the world and the US based on these percentages with a variable CFR. So I'm going to vary case fatality rate. Now, case fatality rates are looking to be about 4%. But a lot of people think they're 1%. In some countries, as I've shown you back over here, we're actually seeing 4% case fatality rates. And that would be for the world, for China, which has lied to us so much. And that drives the world's numbers. The US is 1.4, but we're new at this. I guess probably South Korea looks better than anybody because they've really taken the right steps from early on, like we should have. And then Italy, oh my God. So the idea that you can have a very high case fatality rate is quite possible. And Italy's could go up. That could go up. Could be higher. So, but we'll use those kind of numbers. We got 1, 2, 4, 5, and 10. And I'm going to show you seriously ill. So let's look at this. At 1%, at Italy's current infection rate for the world, that would give you 96,612.82. So you got to split somebody and carve off 20% of them or 18% of them to keep alive. All right, yeah, forget that. I should have rounded that up, right? Those numbers become significant once you get into bigger numbers. Maybe, well, not really. Fractions of a person is kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, some people are into that. I'm not, but okay. That's just the way I set the spreadsheet up. So look at that, though. That is a lot of people. That is far more than what we would say would kill according to the garden variety flus in the world. That's 2 to 3 times more people dead. I do not believe that's going to be the number. I think 25% is a very low projection. 25% infection with a 1% case fatality rate, my friends, is over 19 million people worldwide. Get that. 19 million people worldwide. And as you step up to 50%, almost 40 million people. 58 million people at 75%, which is quite likely. This is really the optimistic side. A lot of people still only have a case fatality rate of 1%. And thinking we're going to reach the herd immunity numbers worldwide, that would suggest 58 million fatalities when this thing runs its course. That's on par with the Spanish flu. That is very significant. But the Spanish flu, the main impact was the people that killed. This disease has a seriously ill category over here, which I think is more significant, actually, because those seriously ill people are usually permanently scarred. They're going to have impacts on their health, their lungs, their organs, which might make them, as this thing mutates and comes back again in the future, more susceptible to further death. But it would definitely cripple our society having this many people crippled by this. So we're talking worldwide. We're talking millions of people, billions down here even in some of these numbers. If we get to 75% herd immunity level, the seriously ill numbers in the world could exceed 1 billion people who really need hospitalization. Do we have that many hospital beds? What's going to happen? No. Probably the case fatality rate will go up in a lot of countries, but you're going to see a lot of crippled individuals that are going to have a hard time performing at your peak performance in our society, that the society may find itself supporting. This is going to be a huge drag on the world and the world economy, health of our friends. It's going to be friends and family that are going to be in a world of hurt. We're going to have to help out from now on. And this number may increase each time this thing may come back around. I'll be doing a show with Dr. Paul Cottrell real soon where he's talking about the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is the source of COVID-19, having other features on the virus which can be pulled into other receptors on our cells other than the ACE2 receptor. These other receptors, as this thing mutates, may come back just as infectious along those others. We've talked about it being mutating, and some people think, of it come back less infectious in future routes, and or less damaging. That may be true, especially if it's using the ACE2 receptor. But these other receptors give it other opportunities to mutate and come back, and perhaps to be a very nasty bug, especially to these people in this column or anybody with morbidities. This disease is especially deadly to people that have pre-existing morbidities, among which elderly people tend to have more. That's why they tend to be hit harder, much harder. So just look at these numbers though. 80%, yeah, these are huge numbers on the seriously ill column. So, man, that's the world. What's that mean for us? The most cynical people in the world are American citizens, and so that's why I'm probably just going to pick on the United States here with this. Italy, we already know Italy's having problems. I mean, for a country with 60 million people, if they lost almost 5 million people, that would be such a huge tragedy. It would be unimaginable. This could happen in Italy. China could lose a number of people that's like, half the United States population. Could, possibly. I don't think it'll go that far. But, the second round of this could be far worse. To say that they could lose 45, 46 million, that's going to keep them in their current case fatality rate, my friends. 43, that's for China. It's 75% herd immunity level in China with a case fatality rate that they're running right now. We're talking 43 million dead in China when this runs its course. And, by the end of the next fall-winter season, by a year from now, you could have 43 million dead in China. Who cares about China? A lot of Americans say, no, everybody should care because they're people. They are human beings, just like you and I. So what does it mean here in the United States? Look at these numbers, my friends. Let's go up here. Let's look at this most beautiful, wonderful case where we've got Chinese numbers, not Chinese numbers. We've got the Italian current infectivity rate. And so we're talking about total infections of 404,000. This would give you over 4,000 dead at 1% rate, over 4,000, which is far higher than what we're reporting right now. That would also give us 80,000 people seriously ill, half of which would be below 50, by the way. Oh yeah, this seriously ill? Yeah, you think about people dying, that's all we worry about, and it's just old people. Excuse me. In the hospitals, over 50% are under 50. Over 50% are under 50. So these categories include all you young ones, big time. Do not ignore these numbers and think this is an old man's disease. So I have no morbidities. All right, so now you get more into realistic numbers. I don't think 25% is realistic. I do not think 50% is realistic. I think we're going to 75%. That's where I think we're going. At 75% at a case fatality rate of 1%, which is optimistic, we're looking at 2.5 million dead in the United States. 2.5 million dead in the United States by this time in 2021. You're looking at almost 50 million seriously ill, injured, scarred individuals in the United States. Very significant part of our population. If the case fatality rate is higher, 4%, we're approaching 10 million dead Americans. What war's ever done that? None. 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 All the wars we had come close. It would take a nuclear attack to reach numbers like this. No war's done anything close to us like this, my friends. This is horrible. It's terrible. This is not funny. These are numbers that could happen. You could definitely have this number right here occurring. This absolutely can happen. It is absolutely within the range of the possible. But Greg, we got this to fix. We got that to fix. Really? Yeah, well, maybe. We'll go look at some of that stuff. I doubt it. I'm thinking that we're somewhere in this area, fatalities in the United States, when we're all said and done, somewhere between 3 to 9 million, probably closer to this number. And I hope I'm wrong. It's possible. This thing can blow away tomorrow, can mutate and stop tomorrow. Maybe we got the miracle cure. Maybe something will pan out. So, you know, hey, and if we do, I'll celebrate. And if you don't laugh at me, fine, good. I'm just telling you what's possible mathematically. I'm not saying this will happen, but I think this is very, very probable, provided we don't take the correct steps. Now, we could take steps and move this up to here. Even the case fatality rate for all. We could move case fatality rate over. We could absolutely get our numbers to here in the United States as max number if we take all the right steps and do it now. We could limit this to down to something like that. 4,000 dead. Where are we at right now? United States dead. 9,910. We could cap this at about 4,000 if we take the right actions. Will we? I doubt it. But we can push for it, and we should push for it. Absolutely. The difference between 4,000 and 10 million is somewhat significant. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just remember, 50 million of you compadres, including 25 million young folks with serious lung problems, being, you know, a lot of the guys, like maybe 14 million guys being sterile. Young guys. Yeah, that's what you want. Heart problems, heart issues. But, so, these are the numbers. This is the math. It's pure math. It's in a spreadsheet. Numbers don't lie. This is not saying that these things will happen, because we can take mitigation steps to knock these numbers to the left, upper left of these columns. We can definitely work on getting the infection rate down. We can work on keeping the CFR to within 1%, maybe even lower. We can definitely work to keep our total number of fatalities down. There's many things we can do. I really don't know how we're going to keep our fatalities less than that. That would be great if we can keep them to that level. You know, that's a tragic number. 4,000 dead is awful. If we do our right actions, we can stop this. Who knows? Maybe we can take care of some other flu bugs while we're at it. If we can do all this globally, we might be able to take care of a lot of diseases, knock them out, isolate them, test them. All right, I'm going to get out of the spreadsheet here. We're going to talk in general here. Well, I'm going to show you some other things. So I'm going to stop share if my screens allow me to do it. Hello. So, yeah, I'm working from home. This is what we need to do. I can do as much work from home as I can from my office and do it safely. This is the Greg Allison Space Flight Center. This is the way to do it. This is the 21st century, working from home. Working at the office is so 20th century. Yet, because they want to show we're on recovery, some people think we all need to go back to the office to work and spend our time fighting traffic and gas and getting our dander up, burning resources, and exposing ourselves and other people to COVID-19, just so it looks good. So we can claim we get to come. From my work, I can do this just as well here. Absolutely, as good. However, the powers that be will think otherwise, and they'll probably try to get me to disassemble the Greg Allison Space Flight Center and go back to my day job. Enough said for that. I'm going to share some other things with. Well, let's just talk in general. The economy. That's what we're talking about. Is the economy. We know that President Trump is concerned with crashing the economy. Some people are talking about this crashing economy. The Dow Jones has been in free fall. That hurts your retirement accounts. It hurts some things, but it's not the end of the world. And that may just pop back up and then things get back to normal, provided they ever do. There is still always going to be an economy. We're going to trade among ourselves in some fashion. You're going to buy your essentials as long as you've got some money to do it with. They're going to try to pump money to you to keep things flowing. The real problem that they're most concerned with today, as opposed to like when my dad was young, today, I just lost my dad a couple of days ago. It had been 99 on the 11th of April. He died on the 20th of March. But when he was a young man, the banking industry, and just were a few percent of the economy. Today, they're 40%. Remember 2008 bailout? What happened? Homes went underwater. The mortgage rates were worth more than you could pay them off or sell them for. People were stuck. They couldn't move. They couldn't do anything. There's no one to buy their homes. And maybe somebody's quit funding hard economic times. So what they do, they just quit paying their mortgages. So we had a banking crisis on that basis. Today, but rather than bail out the individuals that were suffering, we bailed out the banks. The banks who made all kind of bad decisions and bad loans, they were the ones that got bailed out. That is corporate welfare. The banks got bailed out. Both parties played a big role in it. The people were calling the switch lines. And I'm going to give you a switch line number in this video. A switch line number. Call your members of Congress. The banks were bailed out, not the people, the banks. Now, Americans did call the switch lines, and they jammed the phone networks in Congress, screaming, "Do not vote for that." And almost every congressman, except for Ron Paul, voted for it. That tells us that we do not, this is not a nation of we the people, it's a nation of we the banks. Who's got the money makes the rule, the true golden rule. And birds of a feather flock together. The congressmen were sucking up to the banks as they do today. But we still vote in the end. They didn't think we would vote them out. Now, we got to really seriously think about that now, voting out the politicians, because they're doing it to us again. They're going to be bailing out the banks at your expense. They're going to put you and your lives at risk for the safety, supposedly, the economic viability of these stinking banks. So the banks rule. They have the goal. They make the rule. It's time to break that. That's one thing you can take charge of when I show you this number. I'll mention a couple other things you might take liberty to act upon. That's going to be in the politics part of this discussion. We're not there yet. So the economy is suffering. The economy, especially at the banks. Yeah, a lot of you are out of jobs. You're out of work. I did do a video on the courier services, and I have talked in other videos about things you can do to make some money. I'll do more of that. I'm going to show some more stuff about how you can live and thrive as best as you can under quarantine. I got a new video series called Quarantine Living. I'm going to try to put out a video roughly every week. Maybe I'll do a few more some weeks. And I'm going to need some help from some of you. I'm looking to other preppers and gardeners and people to come forward with suggestions and maybe to join with me on some of these videos. Let's make it a video magazine, and maybe we'll have segments. We'll do a little bit of this topic, a little bit of that topic. It's kind of based on Southern living or Martha Stewart living. But the intent is to keep you living and living as well as possible, and making a living, how to make money and how to live and thrive in adversity, because I do see this as a new way of life. I don't think this is going to blow over. And I think these kind of things are going to come back and again and again and again. So I think we need to learn the lessons of social distancing. And I do think it is our advantage that we've got the opportunity to learn these lessons with a disease, with a case fatality rate in the 1 to 2 to 3 to 4% ratio instead of the 50% ratio or 60% ratio we might see with a human transmissible avian flu or airborne Ebola. which are both technically possible. They both exist. The airborne Ebola was in a lab in Reston. It was between monkeys, but there has been an airborne Ebola, and there are two human transmissible versions of the bird flu in laboratories today in the Netherlands and in, in the Netherlands and in Indonesia. Excuse me. Did not mean to be doing sign language there. That was totally unintentional. So, yeah, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that. Whatever. I did not mean to yell at me better than that. So, those that want to pick on that, then go find something to do. So, there it is. Our government cares more about the bankers and the economy than they do you and I. If they turn this open too fast. Yeah, you don't want the economy to completely crash. You've got to have some economy to keep people alive, or the hospitals won't be able to run. That's a big part. You've got to have the hospitals running. We got to be able to eat. But I have already done a video. My last video was talking about the food supply. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention grasshoppers and rats and all these other things, the plagues that are upon us with the locust grasshopper invasions and there's other things. I didn't go the full range of what's going to give us food shortages. I just kind of skimmed the surface. It was bad enough. I just didn't, once I got to a certain point, I just didn't want to talk about it all. It was too bad. So truth of the matter is that we face some dire predicaments right now. And of course, this gives good cover for some of that. Oh yeah, well, we ran out of food because of COVID-19. Well, that might be part of the answer. Breaking supply chains will be part of the answer. Not having people to pick and plant fruits and vegetables will be part of the answer. It will drive it. It's a causal factor among many. There are other causal factors. Climate, grasshoppers, many other things going on right now today that are driving these things. So, all right, the economy is in for a shaking. It's already shaking. It's going to shake hard. No matter what they do, it's going to shake. They're talking about throwing out a lot of money. They're talking about that being inflationary down the road. And it may be, especially if the economy gets going again and we have to pay these bills. On the other hand, there's a lot of value that's disappearing. The value of the goods and services, the value of the gross national product, the value of the stock market. There's a lot of money in our system that has just poof, vanished. So helicopter money filling that void may not necessarily be inflationary. Of course, if that other value returns so fast, and it's going to be absolutely inflationary. Unpent demand suddenly raging would be inflationary. So there are many tendencies that could take us in the inflationary direction, but right now we're looking at tendencies that could put us into deflation, depression. People may not be wanting to buy homes and cars for some time. Any kind of luxury items. So of course, we already know we can't go to the restaurants and theaters and many other places that we like to go. So in those areas of the economy, things are deflating fast. Demand for a lot of things will go down. People always need to eat. There will always be necessities that have to be made. And if you can figure out how to provide these necessities, you can find your way to make an income. Some things that are more necessity and needed more in a situation like this are things like courier service. I just covered it in my last version of Quarantine Living, how you can start a courier service. There's many, and I talk about growing food. I talk about community-supported agriculture. I talk about worm farming. I'm selling worms like crazy right now. So, yeah, and I picked that as an industry because I knew it would be depression, recession proof, and an excellent prepper business, and it absolutely is. So if you want to get into worm farming, look below, www.greengregs.com. And by the way, while I'm at it, you might as well start prepping if you haven't already. Good luck with them finding anything in the stores, except maybe the small ones. You probably won't have to order online now. So go to prepwithgreg.com. Yeah, there's a little bit of wait time, but hey, you got months anyway. It may not be that long. You better get in line and get it while you can, because things are going to get harder to get down the road. Prepwithgreg.com. Link below. And mainly grow your own vegetables, fruits and vegetables. Buy seed. You can get seed locally. Grab it. Get heirloom seeds. But you're going to find stores shutting down. Travel's restricted. And again, there may be a backlog, but trueleafmarket.com sells seeds where you can grow things outdoors, heirloom. You can buy seeds to grow microgreens in your living room. So if you're in a city, in a living room or a closet, you can grow microgreens. I got videos on how to do it. Click the videos above, scroll down. I've got a playlist on microgreens, but there may be other videos within my series of videos that are not in any playlist. You probably want to see them too. So click videos, or you can just scan down like the playlist. All right, all that said, we need to talk about the politics and a few other aspects of this. So let me go back into sharing, and let's go to news type stuff. Let's see here. Back to this. And let's see. My problem. Oh, I don't want to go spreadsheet. Pardon me. Stop share. Share. I thought I was looking at John Hopkins site there. I was like, here it is. Bam. There we go. This is my problem here is I'm going to upper screen. A second. When we talk about politics, let's talk about cures. I'm changing how this appears on my screen. It may change how it looks to you because I got this big thing above that every time I go up here to click on a tab, it goes down and blocks me from clicking my tab. It's clicking selections for the video tool that I'm using. Let's talk about treatments real fast. And let's talk about chloroquine. When people started about chloroquine, I heard all these people on YouTube. Oh, case solved, disaster over, we got the magic bullet. The cure is in place. There's nothing to worry about. It's all over. Well, far from true. Because chloroquine mainly works to prevent cytokine storms, it looks like, which is one of the effects of a disease like a coronavirus, is your body can attack itself. Let's see, it says we're proceeding to use as antiviral and the treatment of as a possible treatment of COVID-19. Okay, we're researching this in the test phase. So let's see here. And it has, this is what you need to know, serious side effects, problems with vision, muscle damage, seizures, certain anemias. I'm hearing it causes heart arrhythmias, many other problems, chloroquine. You're not out of the woods when you take this, my friends. It's got serious side effects, and here they are. Unwanted, uncontrolled movements, tongue twitching, face twitching. Okay, then maybe you can be like, what's your name? Man, twitch your tongue all the time. Yeah, I'm getting brain lock here. Tendonitis, deafness. I got problems with deafness, tendonitis already. Nausea, cramping, abdominal cramps, headache, mental mood swings. Yeah, I know people like that already. Signs of infections. Let's see, skin itching, chloroquine and induced itching will come among blacks, but not necessarily 7%, between 30% of other people get it too. Metallic taste, but it causes problems with the eyes, with your retinas. Here is your electrocardiogram changes. It causes problems with your heart, with your heart beats, arrhythmias, and it says that somewhere here I read that this stuff may be irreversible. We're expecting the risk of this to be very low, but it may be irreversible. So if you already got a problem in this area, well, you don't want to go there. Let's see, somewhere in here, there's one other thing that I think really stuck out. Maybe it's in this other article. One of these articles suggested that this, here we go. Since it is cleared by the kidneys, toxicity should be monitored carefully. Okay, it's not it. All right, here we go. There is not enough evidence to determine whether chloroquine is safe to be given to people aged 65 and over. Isn't that the people who have the most fatalities in? So the age group that has the most fatalities, we don't even know if it's safe to give it to them. Okay, I think this magic bullet's got a hole in it. And so it's usually administered as hydroxychloroquine. Excuse me, hydroxychloroquine. And again, medical uses here. Come down, and you see that it's got, again, it talks a little bit more briefly here about the same kind of side effects. Bam, 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 bam. Eyes, overdose. Some people are self-medicating with this. And you know what? I think there's a lot of them that are having problems. So, yeah, magic bullets. I've heard so many people go, oh, we got all these magic bullets, just like the other people that were saying, It's just like the flu. There's no cases. Why don't we shut everything down for this? Because you're going to get it. And there's a good chance, 1 in 5, that you may have a permanent disability as a result. Yes, you young people. That's very significant. That's like playing Russian roulette with a 5-chamber revolver instead of a 6-chamber revolver. How many would you elect for a life long disability? Well, apparently a lot of people are running to the beach right now, and they just don't understand the risk they're taking, young folks. You need to understand you're taking real life debilitating risks just socializing with all these people uncontrolled right now. These things will probably have to stop, maybe for good. Sad to say. All right, now let's talk about the political dimensions. There's several, multidimensional. Again, we have to worry about, what we provide for people. How do we contain this? Again, I talked about the opposing functions of containment versus having the economy. If you tighten it down too much, the economy dies. If you go for the economy, people die. Is there some balance? That may be what we're trying to find, but right now we shut down a little bit tight here. Not as tight as China and Italy, but we're already worried about this. We're about to release this to let this go, which means this could explode and we lose a lot of people. That's what I fear, that we're deciding too soon, too fast to preserve the economy versus the people. There should be a balance here, and I'm thinking we're not at the right point. Well, should there be? That's a whole other question too. And here's what it boils down to. It's the philosophy of, do we try to contain and extinguish this thing, or do we let it burn out and go for herd immunity? Herd immunity is essentially a surrender. We give up. We're just going to let this spread and do what it will and hope we get a herd immunity. And maybe we try to flatten the curve enough, maybe, and that's still being debated. Are we even going to try to flatten the curve enough so we're going to have hospital beds? Mind you, without hospital beds available, it's not just going to be people with COVID-19 dying. It's going to be all the people that can't get in the hospital. And do you want to be going to the hospital sick or injured with your immune system challenged, with a hospital full of people infected with a disease that likes to attack and kill people with morbidities? Probably not. They're telling people not to take elective surgeries. Well, how long is this stuff going to be around? How long can you delay these elective surgeries? You see what it's doing in our medical system? It can wreck our medical system, which can cause other health issues and deaths, disabilities outside of the phenomenon of what's happened with COVID-19 by itself. So it has other extenuating downsides to it, very significant ones, which means a lot more could be dead as a result of this than the numbers I was showing you. Maybe not directly through COVID-19, but indirectly. So how do you balance these things? I would submit what we ought to do is go for a month shutdown, at least 3 weeks. Total, complete quarantine, shutdown, and have everybody paid to stay at home, just so, and they'd have to prove they're staying at home to get to pay. That way, they're earning it in essence by saving the society, and they're still getting money to make their mortgage payments and whatever, maybe $100 a day or something. Yeah, there's just crazy numbers, but given that we give this money to the banks anyway, why not give it to the people instead? And the deflationary trends going on, it might just work. Otherwise, we're going to have disease that's going to kill millions, literally millions. So with maybe 1.5 trillion permanently disabled, then we'll be paying for that for ages to come, and it will have economic impacts also. You don't get out of this. There's no get out of jail free card that's going to salvage and save the economy unscraped. It doesn't exist. This is a train wreck coming at us. The trains are off the tracks and they're headed at you. The question is, do you duck under it? Can you find a place to duck under the tracks, or can you jump behind and jump over the car careening at you right now? Or are you just going to stand there and let it hit you? Well, the herd immunity argument is just stand there and let it hit you. Yeah, there's no good argument here. There's nothing good, nothing easy. That's the political dimension of this. So what do you do? And we leave it up to our leaders to make these decisions. Well, you can think about it and call them. I would suggest that we ought to clamp and opt for a hard shutdown. Now, that typically goes against our liberties, but if it's a quarantine based on a temporary thing, a one-off for the situation we're seeing. I could swallow it, provided once we get out of it, shake it off, that there's no more long-lasting political ramifications. Unfortunately, there are those out there who believe that they should not let a good catastrophe go to waste, citing Saul Alinsky, often quoted by Rahm Emanuel, recent mayor of Chicago. I don't know if he's still mayor or not. You know, he worked for a certain president, Rahm Emanuel. Sean Hannity used to call him Deadfish Emanuel. Or I don't know where all that came from, but that was his nickname. So, you know, there's two ways. Neither should we let a good catastrophe go to waste. Maybe it's time to take liberty to roll back the Patriot Act and all these other things that they've stuck on us that shouldn't be here, that are antiquated in past tense now, that we no longer need anymore. We spent $7 trillion to fight terrorism, but not $1 buy an extra face mask. And now because of that, they suddenly tell you that face masks are ineffective. Bulldozers. That is not true. They are effective. They just don't have enough of them to go around, so they're telling you this. Yet now I have actually heard say, oh, you don't need them, they're not effective, but because we need them to save them for the medical people, because they are effective for medical people. Means they're effective for you too if you know how to handle them and use a proper protocol for how to put them on, take them off, and that kind of stuff. Which that stuff is available. In fact, I think I have. Here we go. COVID, I will share this with you, my friends. COVID-19 Prevention Handbook. Aha. Yes, my friends. Written from China, telling you things to do to manage COVID-19. And it includes how to take on and put off face masks. It includes a lot of data about sanitation. I'm going to put this in the link below. This is one thing you can use. I meant to come to this later, but I guess the little face mask thing got me into it here. This is part of what you can do. Now, I don't know that all of the 14 days, you know, they got a lot of these kind of numbers. That's wrong. It's longer than that. We know that's 24 days. So don't take it all at face value, but there are some good data in here. Just look at it with the proper caveats and skepticism, my friends, as do you should all magic bullets you hear about at this point in time. Here's somebody say, oh, we're all good now. Everything's saved, just taken care of. Nope, 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 nope. Okay. So what are these things that they wouldn't want to go to waste? Well, there is a House bill, H.R. 6321, submitted by Miss Maxine Waters. Oh, if you want to find House bills, go to this link, govtrackus.congress/Congress/bills. I'll put a link for this in too. Then you can go in and you'll find a bill, click on that, type in a bill number, or a lot of times just see what's coming up in trending. You can look through here to see what Gun Violence Prevention Community Safety Act, that's bound to be bad. All right, my friends, there's one to look at. You know that's all about gun control. It's nothing about real safety. So you better look at it. Yeah, it would be good for you to go here and look at this assault weapons ban of 2019. Well, 2019 is behind us. So there's a number of things you can go here. This would be a good place for you to come look on a regular basis to see what's going on and call your congressman. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. But if my screen up here will quit popping down on me, let me select the tabs I want. Here's our bill from Miss Maxine Waters, introduced the 23rd of March, 2 days ago, 2020. I don't think she has any co-sponsors yet. You can go check these things out. There are other sites to track this stuff on. Introduced status. It says introduced. Sponsor. So far, it's Maxine Waters. Text, not available yet. Well, apparently this creates digital wallet, digital money, not Bitcoin. We're talking stuff that they can track you with, stuff they can set a social credit system to monitor you with. This is more about control of government over you than giving you money. Why can't they just write you a check? You need to call your congressman and call them now and tell them that you do not want to see this bill supported in the context of what we have to provide relief for the COVID-19. Do we want to see relief? Yes. Do we want to see relief to people? Yeah. If we got to see any kind of relief, if they're going to do something for the corporation, they should do it for people too. Should it bail out the corporations? Probably not. Some of these big aerospace companies are asking for handouts, and they're Boeing. Yeah, tell me they deserve that. But on the other hand, you got some of them just laying everybody off because of what their states put them up. Bigelow Aerospace. I actually got hired at one time to work there, and I told them I wasn't coming because they delayed my hire date. I'll talk about that under my Galactic Greg's channel soon. Should have already done it. Anyway, I've been busy. So Maxine Waters, HR 6321. Call your congressman. Call him today. Call him tomorrow morning. Tell him you don't want that. And what do you call? Let's see if we can find it. Bam, right there. 202-224-3121. 202 is the area code into Capitol Hill. 224. Yeah, 2 and 2 is 4. I can remember that. 3121. It's got a 3121. That's got a beat to it, a series, a sequence. That's an easy number to remember. That's the Capitol Hill switch line number. You call into that, and I'll tell you to press 1 for Senate and 2 for the House or something like that, and then you can go in and select your own congressman. Other websites you can go to find your congressman directly. But this is a one number, one size fits all way to get to anyone you need to talk to as your House of Representative or your 2 senators. Each of you in your district has a member, a representative in the House, and you each have also senators, 2 senators. And so you can always go back to this bills tracking site, look what's coming up. If you know of a bill, you can always type in find a bill and see what's going on. And there are other tracking sites that are probably better than GovTrack. This is just the one I pulled up. I'll include the links. So let me go to new tab. And if you would like to find out more about this bill that I'm talking about, HR 6321, there is a video Paul Cottrell put out right here, coronavirus and decashing is happening now. It is rated R. At least he put it on there because he was hopping mad and was using very colorful language. But he does give you the breakdown on this. He's scolding people for not taking action. Now's your time to do that. So, hey, Paul Cottrell's a patriot. He's trying to prevent globalism. Some of you think he is he's this or that, anything but that. Yeah, I'm here on my channel. Some people say, oh, he is a Mason. He is fighting against globalism, my friends. Does not fit within what you're thinking there. Not at all. I mean, judge a person by their works. And he's fighting hard against that kind of thing. So when he's telling you something about that, take it to the bank. So there we go. There is the politics. We need to squeeze down more for just a short period of time. Look, if we were to squeeze down, I would say even give it time to work through the incubation period and to work it out, honestly, 5 or 6 weeks. 6 weeks would be best. And if you could test everybody during that time and then do contract tracing and isolation, we could get down at least to where South Korea is and really manage this. And if we do it correctly and really limit it, and then we find treatments that might work for more people. I don't know. Chloroquine is limited. It seems like the elderly people need treatment most, but it's highly questionable about using it for them. So, all these people who say, oh, we got the magic bullet. No, you don't. No. And it's interesting. It attacks some of the same organs that this disease attacks, like your heart. So, and especially if you have heart weaknesses and this comes around again in the future and are reduced by this stuff, next time around, you're a target, buddy. And this stuff will be coming back around again and again. And there are other things that may come to bite us in the end. That's why this may be a new way of life. This is why we need to learn the lessons now of quarantine living. Well, we need to learn the lessons of social distance. And we need to make it part of our practice, the hygiene, the discipline. We might be able to relax a little bit from time to time, at least be able to go to restaurants when things are good, but we've got to be prepared to lock back down from time to time because this is going to come and come and come again. Well, this was manufactured or natural. We do know the following things. We know, one, that the whole world has become one giant petri dish. We used to have a lot of villages that were separate. Today we have 90% of our people live in urban environments. It used to be 10%, 90% rural. Now it's 90% urban. Everybody packed tight, close. And all these urban communities are tightly coupled and connected through mass transportation, making the entire world one global village in terms of interface between people, between how things can spread and communicate. One petri dish ready to be infected by anything that can come along. The Spanish flu arose naturally. So now we have many more pathways for these things naturally to rise and to spread. We didn't have international air travel back in the day. So natural arising bugs we should expect more frequently. We should expect them to spread faster. At least we do have more technology for dealing with them. But holy smoke, it takes 15, 16 months to develop a vaccine. So any of these things could burn through us by then. And then there's this book, Our Final Hour, by astronomer Royal, physicist and astronomer Sir Martin Rees, knighted, yes, Sir Martin Rees, astronomer Royal of Great Britain. He talks about bioera and bioterror, bioterrorism, where somebody decides to use something against us. And mind you, biological agents are the poor man's newt. Any country can develop this stuff. Shoot, I could put this stuff in my garage. And so could a lot of other people. Bioterror is used intentionally. Bioera is just accidentally getting loose, like the two labs that already have the human transmissible bird flu, or the various smallpoxes that exist, or something happened with a human transmissible airborne type Ebola, or what else? What else is in these labs? What else could get loose accidentally? We know that several things have already accidentally got loose in these labs. We know that the Center for Disease Control accidentally shipped very dangerous pathogens across the United States. Accidentally, not realizing that they were in what they shipped out in the boxes. These kind of things happen. And it will happen again. And because of that, you need to be aware. So that's what can happen. It is real. And that's why you need to act. That's when we need to push to end this stuff. If they got to do that kind of research, take it to the moon. Do it up there. Don't do it on our Earth and our biosphere. And the air we all have to breathe in this one global petri dish village we live in today. So, yes, a way of living. That's what we're looking at. And of course, that's why I'm doing quarantine living. And it's also why I'm telling you, you got to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. But don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Be prepared. Go to prepwithgreg.com. True Leaf Market. But there's a lot of places you can go to, a lot of things you can do. I really urge you to take this seriously. The problem is, and why I'm doing this video, is so many people are not taking it seriously. So many people are talking about this as if it's nothing. Well, this nothing is going to bite you in the rear end if you're not careful. That's why you need to keep your eyes wide open, head on swivel. This is why you need to inform your friends. You need to take this message out and show people. I've shown you the math. I took you a spreadsheet and I made it real simple and easy to understand. I didn't use all, I could have used all kind of sophisticated analysis to show curves and Monte Carlos and regression and this and that and make cases. You know what? It would not have came out much different from what I showed you. The whole purpose of what I was showing is to tell you what is possible, how this thing can spread, and what you can generally expect. And you absolutely can get that from these charts I just showed you out of that spreadsheet, which is simple numbers and simple math put together and organized in form of a spreadsheet. I haven't seen anybody else do that on here. Maybe they have. I haven't seen it. If they have, good. But now you have seen this from me. I try to make it easy to understand. So what I push for is survival and liberty. Yeah, we do need to maintain our liberty. We do not need to let them take our liberties from us under the guise of our health and safety. That's why I give you these phone numbers. That's why you need to call your congressman and take action and say, hey, we need safety. We need things to be contained, but we do not want to give up our liberties. We do not want to give up our freedoms, not a one of them. Every Bill of Rights should be maintained as is and not compromised. In the Second Amendment, there's those words, shall not be infringed. What part of shall not be infringed do they not understand? Apparently none of it, because they infringe it all the time. So, and there's reasons you do not want that infringed. Because that is your means of sovereignty. They want to take away your independence, your sovereignty. They want to make you subservient. They don't want you to be even able to work for yourself. They want you taking all your money from the government to be totally, completely dependent. And then you are useless to the system once you're there. Do you want to be there? Really? No, you don't. You may not know that, but you really don't. Okay, enough said. I've said it all. You may not accept anything I say here. I may have made you mad. If I have, rather than just unsubscribing or giving me the old thumbs down, tell me why in the comments. Why have I made you mad? Or maybe you didn't like this. Maybe I didn't tell you your pet theory. Maybe I didn't talk about 5G. Oh, I will. I'm going to talk about that because it's bunk. I will explain that later. Well, it's bunk that it can be causing people to drop dead. It's bunk that it's the cause of this thing. I will explain that in great detail. And I will shoot down all those other scientific theories. They're not science. It's garbage. It's pseudoscience. I will attack that very much forthright because people are taking things that are disassociated and piling together. Well, this is the scientific study. This scientist said this. This scientist said that. I am an engineer and I know science extremely well. And I'm here to tell you that is bogus. And I'll show you why in not too far distant future. I'm sure you want to know. You may not believe what I'm telling you, and that's okay, because I know this has been dumped on you hard and heavy in great doses. So I understand why you're following that. But I'm going to knock it out of the park in the not too distant future. So stay tuned. So to stay tuned for these videos and all the others I put out here to help you, and that's what I'm trying to do. Oh, I'm not saying there's not an electro smog. There is. I'm not saying that's not bad for you. I'm just saying that some of these claims made are bogus. Yeah, I've got my own concerns about some of these things, but a lot of the stuff I'm hearing is just off the charts. I'll explain it later. I'm sure you're tired of hearing me now. So I'm going to depart. But please, if you trust what I'm telling you, if you believe what I'm saying, or if you're just interested and like to hear more of what this guy wearing a camo hat with a long hair who talks mathematics and science and raising worms, how's all that possible? What's this guy got to say next time? Stay tuned. To do that, subscribe to my channel. Bang the notification bell and click the all. Bang the bell and click all. And you will see my other videos as they come up. You'll get notifications, hopefully, as much as YT supports that kind of stuff. So let me do this. Let me end this share, because this is the proper way to say goodbye. We've gone long. It's been a heck of a video. It's going to take me a while to get this thing uploaded, processed. But if you stuck with me this long, let me know. Tell me to do that you, what would be a good thing? Tell me that you like Swiss Army knives. Not that you have to. It's something to say. Anyway, that way at least I know you held out to the end. Anyway, my friends, thank you very much for watching. I wish you the best. Stay safe. Travel as less as you have to. Maintain social distancing. Maintain good hygiene. Keep up your immunity more than anything. And look at this number I was talking about. Call the Congress critters and let them know what you think. And stay tuned, because I know a lot of you aren't going to like and believe some of these couple of things I just put out there. And so you go, what is Greg talking about? That can't be true. You trusted me all this time? Have I shot straight? Come on, guys. I am an electrical engineer. I have done microwave systems communications. I know a little bit about it. Trust me. Anyway, y'all have an awesome day. Be safe.